Well, after a pretty exciting couple of weeks, I was really starting to get ready for paint. So I started out by giving the whole entire deck a light sand and a good clean out. Really happy with how it started to come together. It's smooth, there's a few small dings that I knew would ultimately be filled by primer, and it really came together nicely. I couldn't be too much more happy with how it started to frame up, and I guess at this stage I'm just more nervous about how it's going to come together. So I started out by using Aqua Coat. This is a water-based 2-pack. So I wasn't too sure about using water-based paint in general, but this was recommended to me from a few different people. So to start with, we started out with the white primer. It's high fill, and you just literally mix just 2 parts. So half of it is obviously the catalyst or the thickener, and yeah, it came together quite well. As mixed well. As we started to paint it, I started to get a bit nervous. It definitely wasn't coming on as thick as I thought it would. So you could paint it on quite thick, but when rolled, it was almost thin, quite opaque or semi-transparent. So it required a couple of coats, but it went on okay. And then it was sort of time to let that dry and see how it dries up. Straight out into the sun to see if I could get it to harden up so that we could get another coat on quite quickly. So while I wait for the boat to dry, I've decided to go and just do a bit of a quick stock take and see what I've got, what I still need to buy, and so on. I thought I'd give you a quick look around. This is the rubber that will replace the original rubber that went right around all sides of the boat. You can see that sort of grips onto the edge. And you sort of epoxy that on, and then you've got 2 ends in there, which will finish that up. Here's the depth sounder that came with the boat. I did a bit of a test with this yesterday with the battery, and it works really well just out off the pontoon, which was great. Marine wire, so that I can wire up from battery to all other parts of the boat, so that's cool. Lights arrived. So these are my port and starboard nav lights that will be fixed onto the side of the boat. We also had arrived this week the switchboard. So I got this one because it had these sort of inline fuses mounted or accessible from the front of the board, which I really like the idea of. So you don't have to dig around the battery and try and replace a fuse. To start with, we'll have navigation lights, interior lights. We'll have an LED strip that runs around the inside of the boat. We will have the depth sounder, and we'll probably have a bilge pump. So that's at least 4 of these will be occupied, and that gives me space for a couple more. It also comes with labels with that, which is pretty handy. Today we ordered a couple more things here that have just arrived. So I had 3 of these stainless steel cleats come, 1 for the front, 2 for the either side of the transom, which is great. These are exactly what I wanted. I've just replaced the front eye, which is the sort of the trailer hooker. So I picked that one up today. The original one was looking a little bit worse for wear. I think I've got it here. You can see the difference there. Still not bad, but the new one's definitely nicer. So I got that. We got the latch so that you can pick up the front hatch, which I recently constructed. So that will literally just screw in. It'll be mounted flush on the surface, and then when you want to pull up the latch, this just comes up and you can pull it up. It's pretty nice, super nice to get these brand new clean stainless steel fittings. I got this is actually a for almost like an exhaust vent or a gas vent, but I figured that I'm going to want to run the depth sounder on the transom, wiring back through the hull. So that's the transom there, engines mounted here, depth sounder transponders down the bottom here, cable comes up, gets drilled through. Now usually people just drill it through and let the cable run through, but I thought that was a nice fitting to protect that join. If that went over the top of where that attaches, it's going to keep it nice and secure. So that's the thinking behind that. It's a really cheap little piece, but just thought it would be an easy way to keep it nice. And I got these 2 plastic fittings because the floor is going to be mounted, the ply floor is going to be mounted over the standard floor, and we're not going to have an easy hatch at the back of the boat. The problem is going to be if there is water in there, I won't know. So I'm going to drill 2 holes towards the back, and these will just mount in there to keep it looking nice, so you can take a quick glance and see if there's anything going on, any water in the bottom of the boat. You can't do a lot once it's there, but at least knowing it's there is going to be a big positive. And if I do get a bilge pump, I'll be able to glance in, see what's there, and let it run. So that's that. My new bungs arrived to replace the old ones. So I've got we've also cut a second bung on the right hand side of the boat when you're looking at it from behind. So that's cool. And then I've just got my tools over here. Nothing crazy, nothing too impressive, but just things I'm trying to keep organised. There's the battery over there. I've built a mount, so that mounts under the front of the boat. And then here are all the original pieces that, I don't know, call me nostalgic, but there's something cool about keeping just a few little bits and pieces. So when I look at that front cleat, it's just, I love how old it is. Just find that really interesting. So keeping some of this old stuff. Anyway, we're almost due for a second coat, so back to it. After a wipe down, I literally went straight in and gave it another coat. Really happy that it started to dry quite quickly, so it wasn't too hard to get it to thicken right up and put a good coat on so that when I gave it a light sand, it'll still be quite thick. End to another weekend. I'm not super stoked with the primer. It wasn't as thick, as high fill as I had hoped. So after, call it 2 coats, it was really what I feel like was 1.5. You can still see a lot of colour through it. There's probably going to be 1 or 2 more coats of primer before we're done, and then we go into paint. But its progress is good. So for the start of another day, it was all about getting that primer sanded back to a really nice smooth finish, even if it meant cracking right through to the deck in some cases. Just a lot of wet and dry, literally pouring a bit of water onto the sandpaper or directly onto the boat, and then just getting around the entire boat a few times. Really, aim of the game here is just to get it smooth and a nice finish for the paint, the top coat to go straight onto. And it came up nicely. It came up really smooth. So, for a first go, couldn't have been happier with how it painted on. Ultimately, it made a bit of a difference. Sure, it could have gone on thicker, and we could have had a more even colour, but good enough. And now we start with top coat. This is our first attempt at the roll and tip technique. So essentially you roll in one direction and then walk around with a brush and just go over each line in the opposite direction. There's plenty of cool YouTube videos on the roll and tip technique. Apparently it's very common in boats to do this. We struggled with it a little bit because the paint almost went on, in this case, too thick, but after thinning it down just slightly, the tipping really did help to even it up, and then we used all the excess paint that we had pre-mixed on the floor of the boat just to get a few more layers down there. For a first coat, it went on very well. There's certainly sections where we could have done more, but after some sanding up and getting that smooth, we were really ready for another coat on that top deck. You get pretty good at sanding after doing this for, I don't know, potentially a few 100 hours all in. I've spent a long time sanding, and I think now we're pretty good at getting a smooth surface, if nothing else. I've just finished wet and dry sandpapering. I'm pretty happy with it. There's a few ridges in there from where the undercoat was a bit thick, but it's at the point now where it's like, it may not be the perfect finish, but it's going to be as good as I'm happy with. So you can see here there's quite a lot of markings where we've brought it right back to that high fill primer, and then even some areas where we got through that, but I feel okay with it. I've just done a bit of a clean up, so now it's time to mask off and get some more painting happening. It's all coming together pretty quickly now, which is awesome. The other things that I put in that I haven't shown you guys yet is I put in these two ridges here, these sort of diagonal ridges. Now they're not structural by any means. They are literally there so that when the boat is in the water and there's water underneath the floor that's come in, rather than it all pooling up in this middle section here, these are designed to act as channels. So it channels them down into the ridges here, which makes it go straight out through the bungs. So basically the goal here was if water came in the front or came in the sides, I didn't want it to pull up in the center section where there's no bung there. There's the bungs in the two sides. So that's what that's for. It's they're not perfect, they're not pretty, but they've been glassed in, and I've done a rough coat on them. I think they're watertight, so as far as I'm concerned, that's a pretty good job. The other thing I've done that you guys probably haven't seen yet is I've made this, so it's very, very rough right now, but this is a console to hold my electrical switches. I cut out the piece of ply that fits the switches perfectly, and while it is a weird shape, it's literally been cut and framed so that it sits in that corner there pretty much perfectly. It sits on the floor and holds the switches there, so there'll be a hole here which goes in through to the battery, and then I'll be able to run cables from here up underneath the gunwale here, so that'll be where my cables for lighting and whatnot is. So it looks a bit awkward there while the floor's not in, but that will be carpeted and will mount about like that. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It needs to be filled and epoxied so it becomes really solid and watertight, but I think all in all it was a good little solution. I wasn't exactly sure where I was going to mount the switches, so this has been just a little project, but it's been fun to pull that together. I think now we're moving on, and I think actually it's probably time for paint, which is exciting. Get the next coat on and see how it comes out. I'm just going to mask off. I didn't do it last time and I sort of regretted it. I got a bit of over painting, so I think it's probably a smart move to do that now. I think I take a lot of pride in doing a good job of masking up. I think it's important to get a good finish when you're masking, and it always adds a lot of value to the end result. So it's something that I'm always willing to put a bit of time into, because it just saves cleanup later on, if nothing else. Always invest in high quality masking tape. It makes a big difference. I've just mixed up a little bit more paint, as you can see down here. The goal with that is to just go through and touch up the insides where I couldn't get to with the roller when we did the first coat. It's all going to be under the floor, so it doesn't have to be a particularly good job, but I feel like I might as well at least cover it, keep it neat, keep it clean, so that when I do eventually plot the floors, it's still in pretty good shape. It's also another layer of just something to seal it all, so that's the goal. I'm going to get paint into all of these little gaps, areas where it's hard to get to with the roller underneath, and we'll keep going from there. I only really used a brush in the areas where you wouldn't notice it unless I was doing the tipping from the roll and tip technique. So in this case, this is all going to go underneath the floor. So I was okay with it being a little bit rough. Just important to get a coat on everything just to seal it up and keep it waterproof. I've just finished painting the inside, just basically going around all the little ridges and corners, getting it all neat so that it's ready for the floor to go down. And yeah, got a bit of peace of mind with the layer, coating over top of the undercoat, and it's all in good shape. While I was in there, I actually managed to put some weight on the floor underneath the supports and separate. There's one join there, so I didn't end up painting it. That join there is separated. I don't know how well you can see that, but I just have to kind of re-epoxy that, get some solid epoxy under that foot. But apart from that, it's inside's pretty well done and ready for the floor. I'm gonna need to paint these today and these today, and we'll see how they come up with the second coat on them. I think it's probably gonna need 2 or 3 coats, but all in all, it's looking to be pretty good. I'm pretty happy. Somehow I've got fiberglass in my mouth. That is bad, 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 bad. Just mixing up some resin, just a small amount. Well, it's not that small, but sort of 100 mils, just to coat the little crack that I managed to put into the support. I just want to thicken it right up and get it in there. And I think what it will do is it'll just help to seal it up a bit and keep it strong. I'm actually not really that worried about it because very, very rarely is going to be weight on the floor. Usually it's going to be on the supports, which hover above the floor. So it's not a big issue, but you know, before we put it all in, it's worth fixing it, especially while I wait for the paint to dry. So basically I've got a 5-to-1 marine epoxy, which is what I use to put together most of the inside of the boat. I'm just using that exact same stuff. I've got quite a lot left over. So right now, I'm just gonna mix that up, put that in there. Whatever's left, I may pour into the sides of the supports just to keep it strong. Probably not necessary, but might as well use it if I've got it here. And yeah, just add a bit more around the edges just to strengthen it all up a bit more. Again, not necessary, but why not? You can see now that's really well mixed and thickened right up, which is good. Just want to get a bit thicker. Probably from me breathing in fiberglass, that is. For some reason, I get this strange sense of satisfaction when I pull the old epoxy out of the mixing container and it stays formed to the shape of the container. And because it's so hard to make these work, to remove the brushes, wash them, and make them continue working, they're so cheap anyway, I just let them set in there. So I've been coming up with these little sculptures. I thought this was like super cool. So it's like this perfect little, I don't know. I just think that's interesting. The way it sits, it's like this perfectly molded shape. So now I've decided to make a little wire mold to keep this one perfectly upright. So we'll see how that one sets. But I don't know. I think it's cool. It's fun. Or it's just silly. But I feel like if it's going to set anyway, you might as well make something fun out of it. We're ready for coat number 3. I thought I'd show you guys how I actually have to mix the paint because there's a hardener, like a catalyst. You've got to add drops to the paint, mix that up, and that gets rolled on. So I'll show you that now. While letting the last coat just to sit there and cure and dry, I actually went up and picked up the rubber to go around the inside of this rail, and I just tried it. I'm really happy with it. It sits on there super nicely, so that's going to run around the full inside and help to seal the outside layer with the inside layer. And yeah, it's a super nice finish. I could not be happier with that. It's going to be really, really good. So that's going to go around the edges. Going to do a quick light sand over this. Do another coat or two today, and then hopefully get to do a coat on the inside, which I'd be really happy about if I was able to do that. So busy day. Let's keep going. Done for the day, made a lot of progress, did several coats on the top deck, did a couple of coats on the inside, the white and the grey on the floor. I'm really happy with it. I think this top deck is almost ready for cleaning up, and then gloss, which is awesome. The inside is pretty close to being done. Obviously then floor, carpet and all that stuff, but we're almost ready to get onto the hull under here, which has been basically untouched since we got it, apart from being cleaned. So you can see there's a lot of sort of old name and old rego stickers and whatnot, so they're still going to come, but I'm sort of waiting for this to dry, and we'll see what happens. But I'm really happy with how it looks. It's coming up super nicely. I'm really happy with the colour too. That grey is really nice, and that grey with the white really sets it off. Bit heavier than we expected. But we've got it upside down. Now we're just going to get it back inside. Well, today I've decided to finish early. It's Sunday at about lunchtime, just after 12, and yeah, I had a bit of a frustration today. While we were flipping over the boat to start preparing the hull, the outside of the boat for paint, we decided to try and roll it. It's quite heavy for two people, the whole boat as a whole, so we flipped it over on the grass, which was fine, and we tried to put it on the front of the boat on a trolley, and then two of us on the transom and sort of carry it and push it back into the garage. And while we were doing that, the trolley jammed and the front of the boat slid off onto the ground. Now, I thought we were probably safe, but in the act of sliding on the concrete, it actually sort of just grazed some of the fresh paint, which, I don't know, if you've been watching the videos, it's pretty frustrating given how many coats I've done, how many times I've sanded it back. It was a really nice finish. So to see that happen is pretty frustrating, because that means I'm going to have to at least go back and do a couple of coats again on that front section, potentially on the front of the deck, potentially over the whole boat. So yeah, I decided anyway, so I filled a whole lot of the little holes in the hull, and sanded back a whole lot of the old paint and old sticker residue. So the hull actually shouldn't take too long to prepare at this point, but it just feels frustrating and a bit like a setback. So knowing that I've got to sand back the filler where I've filled the holes, and then put a whole lot of epoxy on the hull as a starting point, just to try and sort of give it a good solid coating. You know, there's a day in the curing of the epoxy. So yeah, a job that I thought would be done, you know, I thought we had the hull pretty much prepared this weekend, and now it's at least another weekend, if not a few more days. This is the process. This is what happens when you don't know what you're doing and you just try to sort of work it out. So I guess that's normal, and I'm okay with that. It's the experience of growth and learning, but it doesn't make it any easier when you feel like you're really close and you feel like you're making great progress, and the last few things that we've done have worked out really well, and then to see that happen is just frustrating. In saying that, part of me was thinking, after that many coats of paint, and that paint is supposed to be very solid, very hard, if it's going to graze that easily, we didn't drag it a long way, it was literally this far that it slid on the concrete. If it's going to cut in that easily, then there's probably a bit of a problem there. Now, we haven't put a clear coat on there. I am going to do that, but I want to go and do some Googling now on what else I should be doing to prepare that deck, because it doesn't feel like that's going to be a strong enough finish, right? Just in general wear and tear, the ropes hitting it, fenders dragging against it. I'm a bit worried about that. So that's something that I'm going to work on in the next day or so, is just do a bit of Googling. Next steps, sand out the filler, epoxy over the bottom of the hull, especially in key areas like right down the keel. Get that then sanded back so it's a fairly smooth finish. Work out what I'm going to do with primer, undercoat, top coat. I've got sort of primer and top coat now, but I've got spare primer and top coat that I could use, but I'm worried about it. If it grinds off the top of the boat that easily, it's probably going to grind off the bottom of the boat that easily too, which is not ideal. So a lot for me to go and do, a lot for me to still learn, it looks like, and yeah, a little bit of a frustration that made it not fun for the first time. So that's not cool. I can only imagine what it would be like if you did this full time. I know you probably wouldn't make silly mistakes if you did it full time for a job, but yeah, those little surprises and frustrations, and I'd imagine that would get pretty frustrating at times. It certainly has been for me. But anyway, all in all, overwhelmingly positive experience so far. I shouldn't let this get me down on the whole project. It's just, I'm in that mindset right now, which sucks. So yeah, we'll keep moving. Need to go and buy a few things for it. Want to buy a sort of folding anchor, collapsible paddles, a couple of buckets or items that I can use for drainage, for bailing. So I'm gonna have to get all of that stuff in the next few days, because I just want to be ready. I've got to start looking at marine carpet as well. I'm thinking a light grey would be good, so that's something else I've got to buy. But apart from all that stuff, there's not a lot else to pick up. It's just got to get it all together, get the right thickness, the right number of layers, the right sanding process. That's where I'm at now, and that's time more than it is money. So yeah, it's going to take a bit of care and attention. I might try and do a few nights this week on it, just to try and catch up, try and speed up the process. But time will tell. Thanks for watching. See you guys soon. It's Friday night, and knowing that I would be out here all weekend trying to get the bottom of the hull finalised, I decided to come out, sand back that epoxy stuff, the kneader that we put on there last week, that's already set over the little dings, and then want to sand that back and get some epoxy on, particularly along the keel here. So you can see here a lot of this is like sort of now sanded back and looks quite good. All the little dings and scratches have now been filled. Not all of them, but the bulk of them for sure. So there was a little scratch there, and a whole lot of them around the edges. I've sort of filled a little divot there. So now we're going to run some epoxy, particularly along here where you can see it's worn through, and then top coat will hopefully, if it sets, go on tomorrow, which would be great. So I'm now done. I've just done it's going to be hard to see, but a coat of epoxy right down the middle of I guess that's a keel. I sort of let it set so it got quite thick, and you can almost see there, I don't know if it's very clear, but it's like, there's actually like a couple of mils of what is really a clear coat, or like a gel coat, just using the epoxy resin. So I've done a sort of a coating right around here, and all the way down the entire keel of the boat. So what I'll do is tomorrow I'll wet and dry sandpaper that down, just so that it's sort of smooth. It'll dry pretty smooth anyway. I put quite a lot of it around around there, because we'll obviously be putting the new O-ring in the front of the boat. But all in all, that's come up quite well. So I've now just got to wait for that to dry. Tomorrow, wet and dry sandpaper it, and then time for base coat, which will be cool. Get the base coat down tomorrow morning, and potentially even get a layer of that top coat down tomorrow afternoon if it all sets in time. So good progress tonight. This has been great. It's like the world's thinnest, like, undercoat ever.
Why isn't it thick?
I don't know. It's a water-based 2-pack. It's supposed to be like
two-pack.
Yeah, two-pack. It's supposed to be for design. It's designed for boats. It's actually called boat coat. It's a lot of people talk about using it, but I don't get why it's so thin. Like, it just doesn't thicken up at all. On the plus side, it's still being sticky, by the way. It actually I feel like it helps you get a thicker coat on there.
Yeah, that's probably true.
It's like gripping. So we did top coat. We did the first layer of base coat this morning. I've spent basically all day waiting for it to dry. It's still a little bit sticky, but I want to get another coat on so that we can make progress tomorrow. So that's the objective of this process. Alright, second coat down of base. What do you reckon?
It looks good.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy with it. I think a light sand and that should come up pretty nicely. It's rolled on there well. It's actually surprisingly well, really. Very little marks, but all in all, I think it'll be fine. Little tiny ripples. I'm pretty happy with the work around here too. If you look at this, that's all filled and sanded back to make it a new round finish.
What was it before?
Oh, just cracks and deep scratches and stuff from where that's been dragged. So I filled that whole section.
Oh, okay.
It's come off really nicely, actually. I think we're pretty close at this point. And then in the water in a week or 2 weeks at the most. That's cool. So it's the following morning. I let the two coats of undercoat harden overnight. Super hard now, which is great. But now it is time to sand, and by sanding I literally mean they want you to go from quite a rippled surface to as smooth as possible. We know that preparation is what impacts the final finish, so at the moment I'm sanding. I've spent probably about an hour and a half, and I've done probably 2/3 to 3/4 of this half of the hull, and then I'm going to do the other side. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, because as soon as this is done, top coat layers start to go on, and I'll feel a lot better when we're at that point. So, time to keep at it. That's half boat sanded. Still got to do the transom and the entire other side. I reckon we've been about, let me check the time here. It's been a good couple of hours, probably over 2.5 hours. So it takes a long time, but I think it'll get us a better result. So that's definitely worthwhile. Gonna quickly do the transom now, or as quickly as possible, and then move on to the side after I've had something to eat. Just finished sanding, which is awesome. So now we're ready for top coat. Give it a clean up and wait for sailing yak to get here, and then it's game on. Just finished the tip and roll process for the roll and tip process, I should say, for the 2 coats. It's looking really good at this stage. Got to do a bit of sanding and get another coat or 2 on there, but I'm happy with how it's coming together. It looks really good. Three coats of clear coat later, and this is what it's looking like. Looks really good. Shiny, gloss, nice thick coat. Time to get it flipped over. Well, we managed to get it flipped back the right way up and back in the garage, which means the board comes out, the masking tape comes off, more masking tape goes on, we do another coat of grey on the deck, clear coat, and then all painting is done, and I think we start to prep the floor, prep the electrics, start getting the fittings on there, the rubber around the side, the rubber around the inside. It's going to be awesome. Let's get into it. just finished 2 coats of clear coat on that top deck, and it's come together pretty well actually. Glossy, it's starting to dry nice and smooth, so we're getting to the tail end of the project. It's getting close. Now I've got to think about getting the floor in, carpet, electrics, the rubber trim around the sides. It's good to see it finally coming together.
Everything that we could be is finally bound, or so it seems. There's no need to worry if we're too high, don't look down, or so it seems. Don't be afraid of being broken, I can fix you, so it seems. There's no need to worry if we're too high, don't look down.
Wrapping up after a pretty long day. Got the bungs siliconed in and screwed in. I've just wrapped up a transom plate and a plate to go on the inside of the transom the motor actually screws into. Built the foot, so a mounting that will go underneath the floor that the pedestal seat will actually fix into, so it's like now it's like twice as thick, which is something you really want. And I painted the other sides of all the flooring so that it's completely waterproof. What have I done? Put the drainage holes in the floor, so you'll be able to see, not only will the water drain away, but you'll be able to see how much water is actually on the floor underneath the false floor, which I thought was an important little installation. Bought a few things for the electrics, but really we're pretty close. So tomorrow morning, got to grab a pedestal seat, which is exciting. That's the only real big purchase I've got to make, and we're getting close. Hopefully by tomorrow afternoon, it'll be stickers on, getting ready to put it in the water, which is pretty exciting. See you tomorrow.